minute you tilt, it'll nice. Keep it straight up and down. Yep. Oh well. I'm ready. Alright.
What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up?
Hello.
How you doing?
He's back,
Good. All right. Oh, you're back. Okay.
like always.
Yeah, man. So, before we get started, how's everybody doing this morning? Y'all look like you gotta wake up, man. I gotta wake up.
Sorry.
Let's try this again. How's everybody doing this morning? There we go. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with our first guest, but before we do that, just a heads up. So obviously. We had some questions pop up about some stuff yesterday, and you guys know, I don't know if you know, but there's a strike going on with the actors, so we're going to try to navigate as best we can. So any questions you have, ask them, but if I kind of do this number, I'll rephrase it for you. Don't get offended or whatever, that way we can kind of get around certain things, but it's all going to be good because it's going to be pretty intimate. He's here to answer whatever questions you guys have within that border, so it's all good. So, obviously, you guys know why you're here. This guy's a pop culture icon. He's a legend. You guys already know what time it is, right?
It's morphin' time!
Yeah, that's what I thought. So everybody give a big, huge Tampa Bay Comic Convention welcome to Mr. Walter Joe!
Good morning.
Morning!
How you guys doing? You all right?
Yeah!
I feel like we should all just sit at the table together.
We have a little circle,
Right?
like on the floor.
Good morning, guys. How are you? I'm doing well. It's good to be here in Tampa. Thanks for the introduction.
Of course.
So I'm excited to be here. I will say this first and foremost before we get started. There is a strike, and so I won't be talking about the latest show that I just did. But there are 30 years of Power Rangers to talk about, so I'll be happy to talk about that. It's interesting because a lot of people wonder how it all started. How did this all begin for Mr. Jones?
Right.
I like when you say Mr. Jones.
That's right.
I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, and I was kind of motivated to get into performing arts through my family. My mom, my dad was a minister. My mom was a singer, writer, just a bright personality. And we used to sing all the time. We would sing at home with my mom. And my dad was a minister, so we would sing in church. And I would do plays, like church plays. I was like the third shepherd on the left. And I would, do my thing.
Right.
So that kind of got me started with like acting, being in front of people, being that kid in the school that was like, when they were like, who wants to read? And I was like, I'll read, I would read in school all the time. It was like kind of put me in that place where I was kind of happy to be in front of people. So I kind of got started with that, and then I grew up with Michael Jackson. So Michael Jackson was like the dude when I was a kid, right? And I was looking at him on TV. He was a kid, and I was a kid. And he was killing, and I was like, I want to be like him. So, dancing became something I love to do. I remember one of the first times that I actually danced, I see my dad at a party do this move where he would, I can't do it. But he went down like this to the ground and came up and spin it, and I was like, that's fly. I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, my dad's got some swag. What the hell is it? So I saw him do that, and I was inspired. So one day we were at a party for my cousin Bobby. I told my grandma, I said, I want to. Everybody was dancing in a circle. I said, I want to go out there and dance. She was like, go, baby, go on out there and dance. And I stepped in and started doing my Michael Jackson impression, and everybody went crazy. And I think at that point I was like, yes, I am. I'm living this moment. I'm like, I'm gonna be dancing. So went from that to like playing with my friends and we would play this game where somebody lays on the ground on all fours, and you run and you jump over them, right? So run and jump over, everybody would run and jump over, and then somebody else would get out. So now there's 2 people, we run and jump over 2 people. Then it was 3 people, then it was 4 people, 5 people. Well, eventually, you can't jump anymore. You're like, you gotta dive. So I would dive, and like, you know, you dive into like a tiger roll, and not everybody did that well. A lot of people hurt their necks. But I was pretty good at it, and eventually you couldn't do that, so I started flipping in the air, and I would flip and land on my butt, and eventually that hurt. And I was like, I'm gonna try to land on my feet. So eventually I was running, diving, and doing a flip and landing on my feet, which kind of got me started with gymnastics, right? My cousin was a martial artist who was taking karate, and I had never really had that much interest in doing it, but I went to school one day, and I was standing in the lunch line, and these 2 guys got in line with me, and they're like, "We want your lunch ticket."
Oh.
And I'm like, "I'm not giving you my lunch ticket." They were like, "Give me your lunch ticket, or we're gonna kick your butt." And I was like,
Okay.
"Well, guess we're gonna be fighting, because I'm not giving you my lunch ticket." So they waited with me in line, waited for me to get my lunch, walked with me to my table as I sat down, and they sat down across from me, and they tried to reach over my tray, and I was like, I spit all over. And they were mad. They were like, we're gonna kick your butt when we get outside. Because after lunch, you go out on the playground. And I'm sitting there by myself thinking, I don't know what I'm gonna do. These guys are bigger than me. And I hadn't studied martial arts, but I was kind of a tough kid, you know. But I mean, I was tiny. I was always tiny. I was like really little. And I didn't know what I was gonna do. Well, after I finished my lunch, we're walking out the door, and right outside the door is this, it's an old basketball hoop, but it's like 2 poles that go up and then kind of form a P, and the backboard sits on that, but the backboard is missing. This is Detroit. So no basketball hoop, but the poles are out there. So I see the pole, and I run over to it, and I climb up, because I can climb quick.
Right.
I climb up to the top, and I'm sitting at the P, and they're like looking at me like, "How'd you get up there so fast?" I start climbing.
Right.
They're like, "Come back down here, we're gonna kick your butt." I said, "No, you gotta go up here.
They gotta come up there.
You gotta go up here." And they're like, so they're trying to climb up, and they're sliding back down the pole, and they get close. I got my foot, I'm like, kind of kick at them, and they're like, "Man, how did you get there so fast?" And we're having this conversation. Eventually, I'm like, "Man, y'all don't know how to climb." I climb down. I'm like, "Here." I helped them up.
Wow.
I helped them climb up to the pole, and they both get up top. And then I'm like, "All right, guys, see you later." And they're like, they never bothered me again. But I went home and I told my mom this story, and she was like, "We're gonna put you in martial arts class," because you know that I worked myself out of that situation in that instance. But it, you know, might have been another situation where I might need to defend myself. So that's singing, dancing, acting, and martial arts and gymnastics. Those are kind of like the bases of how I kind of got interested and energized into being this superhero at some point. Then I was in high school. Oh, by the way, I became the Michigan Pee Wee State Champion. I was pretty good at martial arts, so I was quick. And,
I mean, I think you're still pretty good at it.
Yeah,
you know,
I was great. I got some skills. And so then I went to high school. I was in drama club, right? I went to drama club and did some plays, and that was exciting. My teacher, Miss Sheehy, that was her name, she said, "We're going to go join this lesbian society. We're going to go and audition for these colleges." So I went to Muncie, Indiana, did an over weekend thing there, and I had the possibility of auditioning for 20 colleges with 1 monologue. So I walked into a room, did a monologue, a 2-minute monologue from this show called Shoes by Ted Shine, and did my monologue, walked out, and a couple months later at high school, they called all the seniors to the auditorium. They were announcing scholarships. And so I'm sitting there with my friends kind of hanging out, because I hadn't thought about what I was going to do necessarily. I thought I was going to be an accountant. And I got a call. They said Walter Jones had 3 scholarships to 3 colleges. 1 in New York, 1 in Muncie, Indiana, and 1 in San Diego. Wow. So I picked the one furthest away from home.
Right.
And I went to college in San Diego. It was a partial scholarship, so it wasn't a full ride. At the end of my 4 years. I did graduate with a degree in musical theater, BFA, Bachelor of Fine Arts, but I also owed like $30,000 or $40,000. So I was like, that's a lot of money, and I was like, okay, if I'm gonna owe this kind of money, I really have to take this seriously. I really have to apply myself in every possible way and do the best that I can, be the best that I can be. So I studied dance, I studied ballet, modern, jazz. I studied acting and like stunt work and all these other things in college. And I took vocal classes, piano classes, although I can't play. And I learned a lot. And then when I left high school. When I left college, I was working at SeaWorld in a show called City Streets. It was like a dancing, singing show, dancing, singing show. I met a guy there who was working on cruise ships. And so I was like, man, that sounds fun. He was telling me every week we go to these different places, and I'm an entertainer on the show. I mean, on the ship, we do the shows, and you know, it's this really cool experience. I was like, I want to do that.
Right.
And he's like, well, you should audition. And I was like, let me know when the next audition comes up. He told me. I went to LA, auditioned, and next thing you know, I was working for Princess Cruise Lines on cruise ships. So I did that for 3 years. I traveled the world, opened up my whole world to everything. I had the most amazing experiences, because one of the cool things about working on the ship was not only was I meeting different people every week and doing all these fun things and seeing these fun cities, but part of my job was I was an assistant cruise director. So being an assistant cruise director, I was with the passengers all the time and talking to them, and they would offer me free tours. So I got to go on these free tours. I did a helicopter tour to a glacier in Alaska. I went like a helicopter tour, a seaplane tour to some little cabin in Alaska. I did stuff in Mexico and all these different places. I went bungee jumping, and I got my diving certification in Australia on the Great Barrier Reef. Wow. So like I was having all these amazing experiences, and I was in love with it. I thought, I could do this forever. This is amazing. I mean, I can run the entertainment department on the ship. I could just like I could do this. This is something I'll do. And then I thought, well, I do owe $40,000. I said, and acting on television is something I've always wanted to do. I should really give it a shot before I give it up to stay here. I can come back if I want to. So I said, all right. I got off ships, which I was not sure about, but I did it. Got off ships, started working in LA, doing plays in LA, and I was doing everything. I was working I was doing singing telegrams. I was rapping Ronnie Raisin. Yeah, rapping Ronnie. So back at that time, they had a big. It was like a commercial with the California raisins. They were very popular, and so
you guys remember those, right?
Yeah, I heard it through the grapevine. So I would have this giant raisin costume in my trunk. And I would put it on, and then I would, they would tell me where to go. I would go to people's parties, and I'd be walking in with the boombox. I'm rapping Ronnie Raisin, that's who I am. I'm the biggest raisin in the land. I'm like, this whole thing, right? Wow. And, yeah, right? So I did singing telegrams. I did bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs as a dancer. Right. I did all these different jobs, like and if it was entertainment involved, I was doing it. Mm-hmm. And then I started doing music videos, and I started working as an extra on different shows. Some of them you may know. I watched. I was an extra on 90210. I was an extra on what's the show with Screech?
Saved by the Bell.
Saved by the Bell. I was an extra in a couple of movies, and it was interesting because I was like, okay, so this is how it's done. This is what they're doing. I was like, I can do that.
Right.
You know, these guys are good, but I'm good.
Yeah.
I got this. And got an agent, and next thing you know, I got a phone call, and my agent was like, hey, there's this show called Phantoms, and they would like to see you. They're looking for somebody, they're looking for an actor that can play 16, that can dance, do martial arts, and gymnastics. I was like, I can do all that. They're like, yeah, that'd be great. You want to go in for the audition? Well, yeah. But the problem was I was on the way to Florida to do Star Search. I was singing in a group.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was on a plane when I got the call, and I couldn't go to the audition. So I went and did Star Search. When I got to Florida, the humidity and the plane and everything else, I caught a cold, so I couldn't sing. So I was in a group, and one of the background singers had to take my part, the lead, and I had to sing background, and we had to switch it all around. When we did it, it was good, but it wasn't good enough, so we didn't win. We lost, and so it was time to go back home to LA. And I was like, man, I can't believe we lost on Star Search. I missed this audition, and it just sucks, And I got home, and I got a call from my agents again. They said they still would like to see you for this show, and I was like, awesome. So I walk in to the audition. It's to play a 16-year-old kid, which was easy for me to do. I was actually 26 at the time. Right? So I had all this life. I worked on cruise ships, traveled around, went to college, all this things.
Now you gotta be 10 years younger.
And now I gotta be 10 years younger, but it was easy. That was my energy, and I looked young. I've always looked younger than what I am. Like, you would never guess that I'm 56 now. Right? I know, right? I should be walking around like this. Yeah, so I went into the audition, and it was interesting because I did the reading for the acting part, which was easy. It was like a teenager. It was like, yo, what's up, man? It was like this, bouncy kid. And then they said, all right, that was great. So can you dance? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, can you show me a little something? So I bust out some hip hop, still my thing, like some pop locking or whatever. And then they said, oh, that was great. So can you do any martial arts? I'm like, yeah, I have a brown belt in Shiru. And they're like, all right, cool, show us something. So I did a little kata, some punches, some kicks. And they're like, okay, that was great. Now, can you do any flips? There's not a lot of room here, but if you can show us anything. So I did a back flip. I could do a back top, right? Just no hand flip in the back. Nice. And did that, and they were like, oh, that was great. Now, can you put it all together?
Okay.
Right now? They're like, yeah, you can put it all together. And I'm like, okay. Let me think. Let's see. All right. So I thought about it. I was like, all right, I'll make it like a kata. So I started it bowing in, like I was doing my martial arts, and then I started doing some pop locking, and I did this breakdance move where you jump up in the air and you spin on one arm and you come down to the ground. So I did that and made it look like a kick. It's called a swipe. I did a swipe, went down to the ground, did like a pinwheel kind of thing, got up, did a backflip, and then bowed out, and they were like, that was very nice. And we want to see you again. So I was like, all right.
Yeah, there you go.
I made it for this audition. Well, 2 weeks later, because I ended up auditioning for like 2 weeks. It was like, I had a call back. We had to do audition for not only you start auditioning for the casting director, and then you audition for the producers, and then you audition for the network, and it's like, it just keeps going. So by the end, there were 3 casts of Power Rangers. The show was called Phantoms at the time. There was a short cast. That was the cast I was in. There was a tall cast, and there was like an older kind of character cast. And in each one of these casts, there was a Zach, and all these Zachs had to show their version of hip hop keto. So it was interesting because one of the guys in the taller cast, his name was Wiley. He went on to play Michael Jackson in a movie. I forget the name of the movie, but he was really good at it. Yeah. But his hip hop keto was kind of like Michael Jackson. So he's like, doing punches and had the neck thing. I was like, okay. I was like, that's interesting. And then the other guy was like a little older. He did some hip hop, but it was like old school hip hop. And he wasn't much of a fighter, so he had his punches and kicks, not a lot of great technique. And then I came up and I was all flowy and did my thing, and it was like, and eventually I got the role of Zach, the Black Power Ranger.
Yeah, man, the OG. Y'all give it up. That's a lot of work goes into that. People don't realize that. All that learning in history.
So I mean, that's just to kind of give you an idea of how I got to that. And it was interesting because it was my first television series regular role. And I was excited. I was like, oh, okay. We did the pilot, and the pilot had a different trainee. Her name was Audrey Dubois. And you guys may have seen it. It was the lost episode of Power Rangers. But we did the pilot, and I took it home to my family. And I was excited. All right, guys, I got this pilot. If it gets picked up, it's going to be a TV show. They're going to do 40 episodes, and I may be on TV and as a series regular. And I showed the pilot to my family, and everybody was in the front room. We had everybody there. Put it in the pilot, and afterwards they were like,
Yeah.
stay at it. And it's gonna get better. You're gonna get. I was like, because the pilot was not that great. It was a little strange. You know, I remember us morphing there, showed me, and I morphed into the mastodon. My face was like, and then I'm a mastodon. That was kind of weird. But and the bodies were weird. The whole thing, I was like, what is that? I was like, who does that? And then Rita, of course, she's talking and her mouth moves at a different time when she's speaking.
Right.
It was very strange. It was like, I don't know how this is gonna work, but we did the pilot, and the show got picked up, and then we did another pilot. We did the show, I guess, 2 more times. We redid the show because I guess they thought the show was too violent, because in the pilot, we were kind of easy to entice. It was like in the pilot, we were bowling, and next thing you know we get into an argument with some guys, or some Kimberly bowls, and the ball goes to some chili, falls on a bully, and they walk up, and we just start, taking care of them.
Right.
And they were like, okay, that's a little too violent. So the next pilot we didn't fight at all. We just evaded everybody. So they would swing at us, and they would try to, people would try to hit us, and we didn't touch them. We just moved.
Right.
You missed me? Kind of thing.
Dancing your way around.
Right, and then they would fall and over themselves, and they would hurt themselves. And that was a little silly, that didn't work. And we finally found a nice mix where we're like, okay, we won't do head hits. We won't do any face hits or anything like that, because obviously we're kids, and we don't want you guys to beat each other up, although some of you did.
It wound up happening anyway.
Yeah. You guys remember the Power Ranger doll with the helmets? They were kind of this big, and they had hard helmets. I think those are probably really dangerous. Because people swing them you saw those that was hard. People bring those to me now and sign them, and I always think about that helmet. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a dangerous toy.
Toys were dangerous back in the day. For you kids now, it's all electronic, but we had some battles.
No, but I was excited that the show finally hit when we started shooting the series. After the first week the show was on, the producers came in and said, guys, congratulations. You are the #1 kids show in the world. Wow. And I was sitting next to Austin St. John, and we were roommates at the time, and I looked at him and said, did he say the world?
Right.
And I was like, he was like, I think I was like, wow. I was excited about being the #1 kids show, but in the world, I was like, that concept didn't even hit me. I didn't know that the show was going to be in 40 countries and 80 different languages. I was like, it was crazy. So here we are now, 30 years later. 30 years later.
Yeah. That's major. That's major. Seriously, decades.
Decades, man. I have to say that you guys, our fans, are the greatest fans ever. You guys rock, because there's no way our show would have the following it does and make the impact that it has in the world without you guys. You guys put us on, and you kept us on, and I appreciate you, and thank you. That was amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Give it up for yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man, that's a journey right there.
It is a journey, right? I'm like, here we are 30 years later, and what's amazing to me is this. When the show was at its height in the very beginning, you guys were kids. Most of you guys were kids. Some of you weren't born. But you guys were kids, and you could run up to us and be like, oh my God, Zach, or whatever, and you were happy, or you were shy. You wouldn't talk to us. It was like your parents would wait 4 hours in line to see us, and then when you finally got to us, you were like, I don't see the Power Ranger. And your parents would go crazy, we wait for
you better go up there and say hi.
And so now, when I travel out and I meet people in the world, or I come to Comic-Cons, you guys come up to me with these amazing stories, about how Power Rangers impacted your life in some positive way. I mean, I've heard a lot of different stories. I've heard people say, from a kid telling me when I was a kid, I was homeless. And I didn't have anywhere to go, and I was really unhappy. He said, but I was walking by a store one day and I saw Power Rangers, and every day I would go at that same time so I could keep watching the show. And you guys you got me through.
Wow.
And now I'm a Marine. I'm like, wow, like that journey is amazing. Where I've had kids. I met a guy who told me I met an 11-year-old boy. It was crazy. A couple weeks ago. He walked up to my table and he said, "Hey man, just want you to know you were big and you made a big impact on my life, and I admire you, and you got me through a lot of hard times." And I was like, "How old are you?" I was like, "I'm 11." I was like, "Wow, bro!" Like, he was talking to me like an adult.
Right.
And he said, "No, I mean, I've been sick most of my life. I was adopted, and then I was in foster home for most of my life, and then I got adopted from this family, but I've been sick." And he pulled up his shirt. He had cuts all over his stomach from all the surgeries he had had. And then he was telling me, it's a bummer though, because my mom and my dad got in a fight, and now they took me out of the home, and I'm over here, and now it's like this whole tragic story. But this little boy was saying, because of you, I make it through. And because I watch you and I think I'm just going to be like them. I'm going to be like a Power Ranger.
Right.
And I just, keep my head up and I just keep going. I'm like, wow. I mean, to know that in the world, in 40 countries, that this show has had that kind of impact on people to help them in different ways, or to motivate them to be better, or to motivate them to want to be better, or to motivate them to want to help other people. To know that exists in the world is amazing.
Right.
And it would be one thing if it was just one city or one place, but the fact that it's in 40 countries around the world, and now around for 30 years, like 3 decades.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't believe I got like 8-year-old fans now.
Right.
Like on a show I did 30 years ago. So.
And it's cool because it's like their parents are like, "Man, this was on back in the day when I was little. You gonna watch this, you gonna watch this," and they love it. And that's the crazy thing. So you have you're creating closeness just generationally.
Yes.
By doing that, and they're watching this stuff. So I would imagine when they come up to you, it's the adults are just as excited as the kids are.
They are. Yeah. The parents are always standing behind the kids like this. Like, no, go talk to him. Go talk to him.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm like, okay. So I always give everybody love. It's interesting. I had dads come up to me and say, "Man, thank you for creating something that I can enjoy with my son,
right,
or my kid." It's like be like, I came home the other day from work and my son's watching Power Rangers, but he's watching your episodes.
Right.
And I was like, scoot over.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, that is so dope. I love it.
That's awesome, man. So I have a question in regards to that, because obviously I remember watching the show. I'm not that much younger than you.
Okay.
So,
really?
I'm really not. I'm 41.
Oh, young man, I see you.
Yeah. So I remember watching. I got in some trouble in school, actually, because people tried to pick on me, and then I was, it's more of a time and trying to kick people.
This is the story I don't want to hear.
Yeah, so I'm just saying. Do you have the suit?
I have a couple of suits.
Oh.
I don't have the suit.
Okay.
We were not given anything from the show. We weren't given the toys, which is crazy.
Wow.
And in the news, it was like, in the news today, the Power Rangers have done it again. People have been spending the night in line waiting for Power Rangers toys. They're still off the shelves. And I was like, that's crazy. And I would have had to go get it in line because they didn't give me none.
What?
How did
I give you your toy?
I should have done it. It's weird too because, the first toy that I was aware of, I was walking on the beach with my cousin, and Venice Beach, and these kids ran up on me. This is before the show had even aired, and this kid ran up on me and said, "Hey, you're the White Ranger." I was like, "I am, but how do you know? The show isn't even coming out yet."
Right.
He's like, "I know, but I just bought your toy, and your face is on the box." I said, "What?" you bought a toy. No, I bought your toy, and your face is on the box. I'm like, "I have a toy?" They're like, "Yeah, it's an action figure. Your face is on the box." I look at my cousin and go, I have an action figure.
Right.
My face is on the box.
Right.
My cousin got an action figure. We start walking down the street, he got an action figure.
Yeah.
And I mean, even today when people bring me that little triangular box, and the first action figure in my face, I always tell the story. I'm like, this is the box.
Yeah.
My face is on it. I didn't know. I mean, apparently my face is on a lot of things.
Right. Right.
But it started off with that toy, and now at this point, I think I got like, probably 4 Funko Pops, maybe 10 action figures.
Yeah.
They just came out with a new Lightning remastered figure for the Black Ranger with a face that I kind of like this time.
Okay.
The other face has been like this.
Yeah.
Like, why does my action figure look older to me? I don't know.
Right.
You know? But finally, I'm happy with this latest one. And then, you know, obviously the trading cards. Have you guys followed the comic books at all? The comic books, Boom Comics?
Everybody has it? Oh, you said right here. Actually,
Yeah. It's if you haven't checked out the Boom Comics, I would recommend it. You're like Power Rangers. I would recommend you check it out because the story is really kind of cool. Like in the television show, when we moved on and we went to the peace conference that never ended, it was a weird way for them to like kind of move us off the show because we were trying to audition for. We were trying to negotiate for a better contract, and it didn't work out. 3 other Rangers stayed, the other 3 left. They hired 3 new Rangers, and we went to the peace treaty. That was their explanation for it. But in the comic book, we didn't go into the peace treaty. We became this elite group of Rangers called the Omega Rangers, and we go through the morphing grid, and we go to different timelines, saving other Rangers and other dimensions. So it's really kind of cool. And that's just one of the comic books. There's another one that focuses on our lives as teenagers, being with superheroes, and it's actually really cool. So if you get a chance, check it out. I like it. But I'm excited about that. I got lost. What were we talking about?
I was asking about that. I was asking about the suit, but then you know, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't have a suit. So I do have 3 suits actually. I did a show called Boomerang. It was on BET. And
good show.
Yeah, it was a good show.
Yeah.
They had me come on, and I was God's gatekeeper as the Black Ranger. So I wore it. It was interesting. It was like, okay, we want you to wear the suit, and I was like, I hadn't worn the suit in years. So they made me a suit, you know, helmet, boots, the whole thing, and on the show, this guy passes out, and he thinks he goes to heaven, and he gets to heaven, and he walks into this church, and I'm there in full Power Ranger regalia, and he's like, hey, you're the Black Ranger. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, no, it's warp time. Still don't know, you know.
Yeah.
It was interesting, but I was God's gatekeeper at the end. He goes to God, and I'm there. Hey, what's up? And so that was I have that costume, and then I have some that have been given me by fans, but I don't have any of the original stuff. I have the original skateboard from the pilot. I have a shirt that doesn't really make much of a difference from the show. I have Ernie's Juice Bar sign. I do have that.
Yeah.
So that's cool, right? So I got Ernie's Juice Bar. It's the sign, which is cool, the neon sign. And I think I may have a communicator, because we had a couple of those. They broke off it. You can imagine all that kicking and jumping, and everything else, and like you throw a punch and all of a sudden it breaks off, and you're like, okay. So I have one of those, but I think that's all I have from the original set.
So does anybody have a question for Mr. Jones? Yes, come on up to.
Yes.
We'll have her come up. Oh, they don't have a mic.
There's no mic.
Oh, it's over here.
Yeah.
Here, I just
You got it. Thank you. It was over there the other day. I don't know what happened. Let's see if it's
we
working.
gotta make sure it's on.
Oh, is it on?
Yeah.
This thing
It's
is
not
on.
really a question, but I've grown up watching Power Rangers, and I've seen your character, and like what the kid said, I was in foster care myself for 10 years, from 7 to 17, and I lived in a broken down trailer park, and my mom, we rarely had any type of television. and I would go to the laundromat where I would watch Sailor Moon or whatever going to school, and I would see Power Rangers on, and I would see how cool it was, and I used to go to school and try to karate chop some kids.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
But you've been an icon to me, and I am really appreciative that we get to visit and see you guys talk. So, but what was it also? What was it like?
It's the journey itself has been amazing. It's been like, okay, so one, Power Rangers is it's happy, right? So it's happy. It's part of people's childhoods. So when it first came out and it first hit its fame, you know, I was getting recognized by everybody. That got a little overwhelming. I started wearing hats and glasses. It's kind of weird. I would go and eat dinner, and somebody would come up to me in the restaurant and be like, "Oh my God, you're the Black Ranger. Can you sign something for my son?" I'm like, "Well, I'm eating my steak. Can I finish eating my food, and I'll be happy to." And they go, "Oh, okay, it's fine." And they would stand there and wait, and then a line would form.
Right.
And now there's like 15 people waiting for me to
Watching you eat. Yeah.
food. And I'm like, this is awkward, you know. So
Did you
it
feel
was,
like you came?
I felt like it was a little strange. I was like, okay, this is a lot. But then, you know, it kind of died down a little bit. I still get recognized maybe like 3 times a day, which is fine, because that's like just love. Like, hey, yo, you know, that's cool. Like, I take that love. That's nice. But I think it's overall the journey of it has been amazing, and I'm grateful. I'm very grateful, and
Thank you for changing my life.
Oh, thank you, baby. Such a pleasure to meet
My name
you.
is Callie. Nice to meet you.
Alex?
Callie, yes, in
Callie.
California.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that with me.
Thank you,
That was
Walter.
amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Yes, you got a question and you can...
Oh yeah. So how was it working in the movie House Party?
So I just finished doing a movie, House Party, that's in theaters, well, on Netflix, I guess, right now. It was fun. I got called up to be a part of that, and it was kind of like, I didn't really know. I was like, I was like, send me the script. They were like, oh, we're going to improvise your part. It's going to be cool. So I was like, all right. So it was a cameo, and basically I'm at a party, and a girl runs up to me, and she's like, oh my God, you're Black Ranger. Oh my God, what's up? You know, Power Rangers, whatever. And she's like, let's take a photo. So I'm like, all right, you know, she's cute. So, we're like, click. You know, she's like, all right. She's like, I'll see you next time. She walks away, and I'm admiring her. She walks away, and then a guy walks up to me. He's like, hey, can I get a photo with you? I'm like,
No.
nah, bro. I'm trying to, I'm out here trying to,
Yeah.
I'm doing, you know, send my swag over here.
Right.
That's not exactly what I say, but it was fun. It was like, we did a couple of different takes where he had me say different things, and then the director came out himself and said, I want you to say this. And I was like, I looked at him and was like, that's funny. That's funny. Not something you necessarily expect me to say, but it was fun. But that was a fun job. I've worked on a lot of different things, actually.
Yeah.
I did Family Matters back in the day. That was with Urkel.
Yeah.
I did Moesha, In the House, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I've been on. I was on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I've done maybe I had a show on Nickelodeon called Space Cases.
Yes.
Oh, that must have been your question.
It's not Star Trek Voyager, but it is.
It was fun. Yes.
Okay. My name's Lorraine. What was your favorite scene or episode that you filmed?
My favorite scene or
That's a good
episode.
one.
So, wow. You know, it always changes because I like see things and I go, oh, I remember that now. But the first thing that comes to mind is I did Zach's birthday. For Happy Birthday, Zach.
Yeah.
It was the first episode I ever had that had my character name in it. And I was like, this episode is about me. This is kind of cool. Although I wasn't in it much. Like, most of the episode is about my friends trying to hide that they're having a birthday party for me. And meanwhile, I walk around like, feeling like, you know, bummed, like, oh, they don't love me. And I saw it recently and I thought about it. I was like, one of the first scenes we did was, I walk in, we're in the school, and I see Kimberly at her locker, and I walk over, I'm like, hey Kim, you know, how you doing? Like, do I look different today? She's like, no, you look the same. I'm like, no, man, I got a different energy, right? I'm like, ha. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's like, kind of cold, and I'm like, oh man, I'm bummed. I'm like, oh, Kim doesn't remember my birthday, and then Jason doesn't remember my birthday. Billy, I'm like, so now I'm walking around bummed out, and I end up getting into a fight with the Nasty Knight. You know, Rita sends out the monster, and I have to fight him by myself. So I was alone most of that episode until the very end when they have a big party, and now I'm excited, I'm dancing. Right. It's a big party. But that's one of my favorite episodes. I think, one, because it was fun. I got to dance. And then because it had my name in it, it was like the first time that ever happened for me. So that was one of my favorite episodes.
Cool. Last question right here. She was waiting. Yes.
My name is Becky, and I'm autistic and ADHD. And I was severely bullied in school. And in 6th grade, you know, middle school's different, and you don't know anybody.
Yes.
And everybody hated me, and I knew that because they told me so.
Oh no.
And the Power Rangers were my friends.
Yes.
And I would pretend that you were in my classes, and that we were friends. And I would just, that was my whole day, was getting through the day with my friends.
Well, I'm happy that we were there for you to help you through that, and I'm sorry you went through that. It sucks. But I'm giving you a hug right now.
That's awesome. Thank you. I have a hot seat question for you. So we're gonna put him on a hot seat real quick. So obviously we know you're very versed in dance. You love the dance, you love the battle, and all that stuff. Like what we've seen video of that, and then we also know you're great at martial arts.
Show the dance.
So if you were issued a challenge and you had to pick between one of these two, would you battle Usher in a dance battle, or would you battle Jason Statham in a martial arts battle?
Usher in a dance battle.
No pressure.
You know what? I would love to work with both those guys.
Yeah.
But as far as battling them, you know what? I think me and Jason Statham would have to go. I'm just saying. Like, I'm nimble. I'm like, you know, we got some things we can do. Usher, I'm gonna say Usher probably is gonna take me down. You know, really? as far as the dance battle, just because you know he's dancing regularly. On a regular basis, and when you're doing something regularly, it's your thing. Actually, I dance right now. Dancing is still something I love, but I dance salsa. Bachata, merengue, kizomba, zouk, which is from Brazil. So I went from martial arts to partner dancing because I was doing martial arts and I got injured and pulled a hamstring muscle, so it was affecting my lower back, and I was getting like, you know, I needed to take it easy for a minute. And so all those muscles are kicking and I had to like chill. So I started taking salsa lessons, and man, it changed my whole life because like I went from like, you know, wrestling with sweaty guys to dancing with beautiful women. I was like,
better trade-off.
I was like, they smell so much better.
Right.
I think I like this. So I've been dancing salsa now for a number of years. I actually was a world champion in 2004. I won a world championship salsa dancing in 2004.
Wow, congratulations.
So if Usher would take me in some salsa, you know, let's go. So,
hey, get his partner, get your partner in this little, you know, tag team battle. Now, speaking of dance, you just dropped a video last month, right?
Yes.
Dance video, yes. Now, tell us about that.
All right, so I'm doing a music project. It is, I have a 6-song EP. I've only released 1 song so far, and I'm doing it under the name Trey Emanuel. It's the Trey Emanuel Music Project. And you might wonder why. Why is it not Walter Jones? Why is it? I wanted to separate the music so it could stand alone. I didn't want it to be associated necessarily to Power Rangers, although I love my fans and I want my fans to be, you know, to support. But I wanted the music to stand, you know, stand for itself. Right. And so, in coming up with the name, my dad's name is Walter Emmanuel Jones. I am also Walter Emmanuel Jones II. And my son's name is Honor Emmanuel Jones. So that's 3 Emmanuels. And so Trey, meaning 3, and Emmanuel, meaning God with us. So Trey Emanuel. Yeah, so that's the name of the music project. I've released one song so far. It's called Dance. It's a fun song. It's a bop. It's like, it's one of those songs you can put on play and just play it over and over again. And it's just like energizes you.
Right.
Gives you some energy. It's kind of a house pop song.
Yeah.
I'll put it like that.
Yeah.
But it's cool. And I got another, I think my next song I'll release will be one of the rap songs I've done. I got 2 house songs and 4 rap songs in different kind of styles. But I'm excited about it. I think everybody's gonna like it, and it'll be another thing that I've done in my life. So I'm excited about it.
Congratulations, man! Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just add more to the resume. Man.
Yeah, man. I'm like, next I gotta direct something. That's gonna be next.
Oh, that's. I'm sure that's coming.
Yeah.
Do you have? Is it a particular? I mean, we would guess action obviously would be the genre, but is there something that you really want to do?
Action. I mean, I would do action, or I would do something dramatic. I mean, I like drama as well, man. I've played a lot of characters in my life, and I've done comedy and drama. But one of my favorite things that I've done is my work on The Shield. I don't know if you guys saw The Shield. If you haven't, it's a cop drama with Michael Chiklis, starring Michael Chiklis. I played Rondell Robinson in the first and second season, and I was a CI for him. He's an undercover cop. I was not a nice guy. I was definitely kind of a villain of some sort, but it was really fun to play. And you get to see some of my more serious work in that, So I'm excited. I don't know, maybe some drama. I got some cool stories. I grew up in Detroit, Michigan. Detroit was a beast, It was not an easy city to grow up in, but I was surrounded by love, and so I got through, without being, injured in any way, except for a few things. But I just remember growing up and being scared all the time.
Yeah.
It was like the news was crazy. It was like, you look at the news and every day there was something. It was the murder capital of the world at the time.
Right.
So it was a scary place, but I got through.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, my family took care of me, so I was blessed to have it.
You got more stories to tell. We're looking forward to them. Tell everybody, social media wise, I'm sure they have it, but remind them where to find you, and then where you're going to be here in the vendor hall, exhibit hall, where your booth is.
Yes, I am booth number 5. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but it's down. You can find me. I got a big old thing that says Walter Jones, Black Ranger. Come find me there. I'd love to meet you guys. If you are interested in my social media, I am on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter at Walter E. Jones. On my Instagram, you can find in my bio the information about my music, and I also have an Instagram page for my music, Trade Emmanuel Music. So guys, keep supporting. I love you guys, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much. Y'all can do better than that. This is Walter Jones. Thank you so much, brother, for coming up.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And make sure y'all stop by and say hello. Get some stuff signed, get some pictures and all that good stuff.
Yeah, come on down. I got a ton of photos on the table, and I got some coins and some other things. So,
right.
And if nothing else, I got some conversation for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.